So, first of all, let's kind of this is the thing everyone's kind of talking about, been waiting for. Uh, can we talk a little bit about the mining permit? How many outstanding conditions are there on the permit? Can you talk a little bit about the progress there and what to expect in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's three pieces to our permitting, just to keep things extra complicated. The first one is our mining permit. So you guys would have seen a news release that went out last week, saying that the comments are in, all the technical review from the provincial government is completed, and it's the final draft is being put together and sent up for final approval. So we're well on our way with the mining permit portion of this, which is really exciting. It's worth noting that we're already in construction and mining on site through something called a gravel borrow. We were given all of our construction permissions, and the gravel borrow allows us to take the waste rock off of where the gold is and repurpose that material to upgrade our roads and create some laydown areas on site. So technically we're already mining, and we anticipate having our final permit in late July, early August here. So we are dealing with provincial regulators, so we're kind of at their whims, but their communication to us is that everything's on track. A few of the Indigenous communities have recently come in and asked for more time to have question and answer period, which obviously outside of the provincial review process, we'll continue engaging with them and ensuring that they have all the information that's required. So that's the update on the mining permit. There's also something called an effluent discharge permit, which is from the Ministry of Environment. That permit is about 2 to 3 weeks behind the mining permit. Everything's going well on that front. All technical review and information requests are completed, and the government is just working with our mine review committee, which is made up of our management team as well as the Indigenous communities that have an interest in our project. We're working through any questions or comments that they may have on the draft permit that's been sent out, and it's a similar process, just 2 to 3 weeks behind. And then third permit is through New Afton, who we are shipping our ore to. They are currently working with the provincial regulators to receive our ore, and their permitting process is well underway. They're anticipating receiving that in September, October, which works perfectly with our timelines that we currently have on putting the mine into production and delivering them ore in mid to late October.
Very cool. So you guys are a lot different. You guys have a much different approach than most junior miners. Can you talk a little bit about what your business focus is and how you differentiate yourselves from other junior miners?
Yeah, so we're really focused on getting this mine into production. While the first 3 years are a smaller production profile, we have a really high grade that will kick off a lot of profits. And our goal is to take those profits and reinvest them into the project so that we can not only expand our exploration through drilling and looking at different areas on the property of interest, but we also want to expand our production profile. And in order to expand our production profile, we need to do something called an environmental assessment. That's a 2-year process with the government. It's just a deeper dive on the environmental impacts of the project, and it's a deeper engagement with the Indigenous communities. So we plan to fund all of that expansion through this initial small scale mining, as well as fund all exploration moving forward. My background is, private equity. I run really lean companies. This is my first public deal, and I wanted to bring some of that, bootstrap mentality to this business and sort of change the image of mining companies from being lifestyle companies where management's just living off the treasury, and giving investors an opportunity to work with a group who's really focused on, building out a mine that produces cash flow and keeping the cap structure extremely tight, and not overly diluting people who've supported us early. It'll be pretty rare for a company to be in production and have less than 80 million shares fully diluted. And, that's something we're really proud of, and we're going to do everything we can to defend dilution. We just did a raise at $2.10 recently. That put $12 million into the treasury. That gives us all of the cash we need to complete all of our ambitions as far as production goes, and as well as continue aggressively drilling out the property. The idea is once we're in cash flow, which is currently scheduled for November, we won't have to go to the markets and dilute again for the Elk project in order to expand it. So I think that's what makes us extremely unique. The other thing that's unique is no management is taking any cash salary until we are into production, which is extremely rare. We wanted to do that to show the market, number one, we're serious about developing this project by putting all the dollars into the ground. And number two, we want to show the market how confident we are in our ability to execute on our business plan. And if you look at our CDI and our insider buying, we've been quite active in the market. I believe in putting my money where my mouth is, and if it's good enough for shareholders, it should be good enough for the management team. So we continue to buy. We still think there's excellent value at these price levels. We're just trying to restore the faith in sort of the junior mining industry in Vancouver here, because it does get a pretty bad rap with just constant dilution and projects that never really get out of exploration mode and drive into production.
Yeah, you touched on the insider filings, and that's something that that is quite unique with GMTN. I've never really seen so much insider buying, and it's just you go on the the insider filings page, and it's all green, right? There's no red, no selling at all. It's just buying almost every day. So that's something I've never seen in this space and in small caps particularly. So in terms of the fires, I live in Canmore, and here it's very smoky. The air quality is bad. Obviously, we know it's bad in BC right now. Is that having any effect on what you guys are doing? And do you think it could potentially affect the permit?
Yeah, great question. So from a fire perspective, we're kind of fortunate in that there's no fires in our immediate area. There are fires in Kelowna, which is about 45 minutes to an hour drive away from us. Obviously, there's some pretty intense fires in Osoyoos, which is probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours from us. There is a small fire at Brenda Mines, which is still probably half an hour away from our site, but it sounds like they're getting that one under control. From an air quality perspective, we're not seeing anything. We're kind of at the peak of the Highway 97C connector, so we're at the high point there, and at the moment we are unaffected. In saying that, though, we have put in some measures in place. We've kind of beefed up our safety protocols, and we are definitely prepared if for whatever reason something should happen. The areas that we're working in have already been cleared, as this was already an operating mine, so there's not a lot of dry vegetation around where we're working directly and impacting. So it's something we're monitoring very closely, but we've been fortunate not to be impacted to date. The other half of your question there was affecting the permit. There are a few communities that have been affected by the fires, and the government did request a extension in order to give them more time to look at the file. We were supportive of that. Obviously, with what's gone on, they were heavily affected by COVID, and then we've had this residential schools issue, and then also now these fire situations. We're taking the approach of building long-term relationships here, and when we were requested in late June to provide an extra 30 days to review, that's something we were supportive of. Again, as mentioned, we are already waste rock mining through a gravel borrow. So for us, there's still lots of work we can do on site. The permit, obviously, it's something that we're really excited to obtain, but we're also able to advance the project and still be respectful of the neighboring communities around where we're currently working. So.
Mm-hmm. Can you get into your relationship with New Gold and how that puts you in an advantageous position?
Yeah, so when we first went public, one of the major concerns from the institutions was that we were, it's essentially a toll milling model where we're mining and then we're trucking the material off-site to a third party to process. Toll milling is typically very predatory towards the junior miner, and that was a major concern for a lot of these institutions when we initially went out to go public. We kind of canvassed the local area, all the different mills. There's about 3 or 4 that were available, opened up conversations with different groups. And the one unique thing about New Gold is their project, New Afton, which is in Kamloops, it's running short gold right now. So when they produce their copper concentrate, it comes out with a very low gold content. And when they go and take that into international markets to sell, they're getting beat up on the price. So they approached us and they said, we need to bump our gold grades, and we have excellent, like really high grade ore. And they said, would you guys be open to a scenario where you truck it to our facility? We just buy it from you in ore form, so essentially in rock form. We'll do all the processing. We'll take on all the risk of recoveries, and we'll buy it from you for 90 cents on the dollar. Some of the other, offers that we had from groups were, 50-50 split on the metals payable. So putting us in a position to retain 90% of the metals payable, take on no risk of recovery, and defer a huge amount of capex, $40-50 million to build a mill. Pulling that out of the front end of our business plan dramatically impacted our economics, and overall makes our project not only a lot cheaper to get up online, but it makes it a lot more profitable, and it takes a lot of the the perceived environmental impacts out of it. Not processing on site, not storing tailings on site. It makes this a simple business to understand, and the impact that it has environmentally, our footprint is drastically reduced. So there's a bunch of advantages that come from that, and the economics look like it makes sense to continue trucking them ore until we're up at around 100 to 120,000 ounces of production a year. So that's what we're going to do. We let economics drive our decision-making process here at Gold Mountain, and that's our game plan. So you would have seen a news release about a month and a half ago announcing that we've agreed with New Gold to continue trucking our ore to them. That was to show that the numbers in our PEA were backstopped by a willingness of New Gold to receive more ore, and frankly, they're very interested in our project. They want to see us get permitted and up into production. But there's already early conversations going on regarding potential strategic investments and potential for a larger relationship there. So we feel really fortunate to have found a partner in New Gold, being such a young company in early stages of going into production.
That's huge. Very good. Kevin, can you go into what you believe your exploration upside is, and also the goal of Gold Mountain? Like, what is your end goal with it, and where do you think you could be in a year or two?
Yeah, so one of the unique things about the Elk project, like it's a known project. It's been around. It's produced in the 80s, and it produced again in the late 90s. It has super high grades, but people are always concerned about is it too small? So when we took it on, one of our first goals, it was a less than 375,000 ounce deposit. One of our first goals was we want to go out and show the market the potential here, because the last operators, their focus was really kind of just doing a bulk sample on one really high grade area of the property, and they sort of put down the exploration side of the business, and ultimately they ran into a really tough gold market, and they didn't have good agreements with the other groups that were doing toll milling for them, or the group that was mining contracting. They had cost overruns. They got beat up because their toll milling agreement wasn't very good. And the net result for them is it just wasn't a viable business anymore. So, you know, we're fortunate to learn from their mistakes. We also have a really strong gold price right now compared to when they were operating. So we've got locked in clause with our mining contractor. We just talked about our new gold agreement, which gives us excellent economics and a lot of certainty around the cash flow that's going to be coming into the business. And then we're really aggressively drilling this out right now. It came with 127,000 meters of drilling, and with you know, most drilling in British Columbia costing somewhere between $250 to $400 a meter, depending on where you're working. You know, you do the math on that, and buying this for $10 million with a $1 million down payment, we feel like we got incredible value. It works out to around $8 an ounce that we've paid initially to purchase this project. So all we're doing is we're taking that historic data, which was done a long time ago. We're sticking some of the latest and greatest technology on it. We're going back and re-logging a lot of holes using new technology to pick up some of the stuff that was missed by previous operators. We found a ton of gold just by going back and re-logging old holes. And we've also had a lot of success on the end of the drill. We added 260,000 ounces with our phase 1 drill program, and we're currently halfway through our phase 2 drill programs, and we're really excited with what we're seeing coming out of there. We're drilling in the Siwash North right now, which is where our main resource is, but we have plans to go out and drill some satellite areas on the property. The Siwash North, where all our resources are, we have a goal of bringing that up to 1 million ounces by fall. But there's 7 other zones that are looking very similar to Siwash North that have already been drill tested. They already have excellent intercepts showing similar grades and structure. We're confident that there's at least 2 or 3 of these Siwash North zones in this northwest corridor that runs down the center of our property. And we're going to continue to drill those out, add ounces, and show the market just how good a value we got in purchasing this from Equinox, and there's a real scalability possible. It's very possible to scale this project up and turn it into a multi-million ounce scenario. Beyond just that northwest corridor, in our volcanics, which is a totally separate geology on the property from where we're drilling right now, is called the elusive zone. It's got the second highest gold in soil anomalies. It's about 3 kilometers away from Kodiak MPD, which had a major copper gold discovery a few years back. And we're going over there to poke our first holes in that area, which would give us a more bulk tonnage style target. So right now we have these narrow high grade veins. And if we're successful with finding believe is over there, which would be a copper gold porphyry, we see real opportunity for bulk tonnage, which would you know, justify accelerating building that mill on site, and then doing what we're doing with New Afton and supplementing their bulk tonnage with our high grade ore. We would be doing that all in-house on site, and that would really give the company a lot of torque and excitement around it as far as becoming a major going concern in BC mining.
Mm-hmm. You touched on gold. Obviously, you know, macroeconomically, we're looking at a very uncertain time. What are your expectations for the price of gold let's say in the next 6 months? What do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been I've been expecting a lot more out of gold recently. I mean, we're really excited with the gold price because when we bought the property, gold was at around $1,200, $1,250, and the economics still made sense. So even being up here at around 1,800, which seems to be the range it wants to trade in right now, the economics are excellent, and it's just more profit for us. But, you know, I'm expecting, you know, given this endless money printing, you're starting to see some economic news come out where, you know, it looks like now that we're not comparing to like the COVID lows and we're getting, you know, baseline data from when the economy was reopened after COVID a year ago. I think you're starting to see some signs that maybe this recovery isn't quite as strong. You know, this Delta variant thing is obviously interested. It's got a lot of people spooked about if that takes hold. there's a lot of uncertainty, and with the amount of money printing that's going on within Western governments right now, and the need for loose monetary policy to even kind of get the economy back on track, I just don't see their ability to taper or their ability to let off the throttle of the printing press. I think you're going to see very loose monetary policy continue. I think you're going to see inflation continue to run really hot. And then I think you're going to see some headwinds economically in this recovery, just with a whole bunch of different stuff that's going on right now. And all of those point to a very good environment for gold. We've had an excellent run up in equities. You know, the major indices have done really well, and you know, it's been a great opportunity for people to make money. But I think as some of these economic headwinds start to you know, show themselves more prevalently, you're going to see a bit of rotation out of some of the more speculative stuff and into businesses that have more fundamentals. And if you look at how undervalued the gold and silver producers are right now, which is, you know, we're going to be in that category hopefully by November, if all goes to plan, which we're confident it will. We're going to be in that category. We're going to be kicking off a lot of cash flow, and we're going to be really aggressively continuing to expand our project. So we like the gold space right now. Obviously, we'd always like the gold and silver prices to be higher, as that's the commodity that we produce. But where they are right now, I mean, these companies have never printed more cash ever, and it just seems like the market is yet to wake up to that opportunity. So I think there's a really good buy in general in the precious metals miners, and you know, I think you're probably going to see some of the air get let out of some of the major indexes as we roll through Q3 and into Q4 towards the end of this year.
Fantastic. Are your 4 major contracts fully executed and signed by each respective party, or are there conditions outstanding?
Yeah, so the 4 contracts that we're talking about would be, we have a definitive agreement with Newellman Lake that locks in all of our construction costs, our mining costs, as well as our highway haulage. We have a definitive agreement with New Gold right now for the first 3 years of mining. We have an LOI with them for increased tonnage, which will has a 12-month fuse from when it was signed. So within 12 months, we'll come to terms with them on what years 4 and beyond look like if we continue delivering ore to them. And then what are our other 4 contracts that that we would be talking about? Maybe whoever asked the question can point me to the other 2. Those are the 2 major ones that come to mind right now.
Darren, you want to specify? Okay. All right, open-ended. Okay, cool. Let's move on to, okay, what about performance bonuses and performance payouts for GMTN's leadership team? Can you talk a little bit about that and how it's all structured currently?
Yeah, so we have an equity plan for 10% of the business, and it's based on milestones like achieving our permit, getting into production, getting the project up to 1 million ounces and beyond, milestones with the market cap of the company, doing the financial raises required to de-risk the business. And then all of those sit off to the side in escrow, and they don't become available to management until we successfully hit commercial production. So we've foregone our cash salaries in order to show, you know, that we want to put the dollars in the ground and build out the company. And we've also said we're willing to defer that cash payment until we're in production, and we're willing to take equity remuneration based on performance milestones that we feel add serious value to the business and would justify such performance benefits. So that's what we've done to reward management, is kind of a carrot dangled to execute on the business plan and within the times that we've outlined to the market.
Fantastic. Oh, it makes a lot of sense. I do have a question here from one of the members, and he's asking, what percentage of your personal wealth is tied up in Gold Mountain?
I would say about as all in as you can be without being risky. I was in real estate development and construction, so I do have a pretty healthy real estate portfolio. But to date, I'm still the largest check writer and shareholder in this business. And again, as I said at the beginning, I think it's really important for management and directors to put their money where their mouth is and continue supporting deals beyond just the founders' levels of stock. And we're very long on the deal. So I continue to cut checks. I continue to buy in the market. My last purchase was just over a week ago at $2. I bought $100,000 in stock to show support. And I'll be continue buying in this current, we're in a bit of a low spot here. We're turning over some shares from the private company that came free trade. And also we did a 97-cent financing in February. So all of those people are well into the money and naturally have decided to take some profits. And we're in there soaking up those shares in the market and putting them into strong hands that are long on the deal with us.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. And then just quickly on your share structure, I mean, I just want to point out that you're almost 300% less than most producers at only around 60 million shares. Obviously, that's something that you've prioritized. Why is that? And how will you, obviously you've raised tons of cash as well, so you should be good for a while. But why was that so important for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I've been investing in public companies for a long time. I like the junior speculative stuff because that's where the upside is. But one of the frustrations is always like these really dilutive raises that happen and sort of take the wind out of the sails of the company and spread the market cap amongst, a lot more shareholders. It's important to us to, number one, management and board owns a lot of this company, and we want to retain ownership. But the other side of it is, I want to give early supporters a different experience than I've had in other companies where, you support it for a couple of years and then at the tail end, there's this massive dilutive financing that, sort of wipes out everybody's value and you might as well waited to invest at the very end. So, we put this money in the till at $2.10, which is more than double what our last financing was done at. Our go public was done at 90 cents. So we've never done a down round. That's something that I really don't want to ever have to do. And, taking this money at 210, it was a discount to where it was trading at the time, but it's a major de-risk for the company. Now that we're capitalized, we can focus on execution. And, if we do get this into production, it's set to kick off somewhere around $70 million in revenue in year one, around 27 of that being profit. So that puts us in a really strong cash position where we feel we'll never have to raise money again to continue to expand the Elk project. And the only time we would be raising money is we were going out and looking at acquiring other assets, and those would really have to make sense if we're willing to dilute shareholders and willing to dilute the value that we see in the Elk project. We'd like to find other projects similar to the Elk where there's near-term production potential so that we can take advantage of these strong precious metals prices. But again, it's going to have to pass the sniff test of our business partners. We've got two mining engineers in management, Ron Wu and Grant Carlson. Both those guys have permitted, built, and operated mines in BC, so they know what a good mine looks like. And we're going to be extremely picky on any assets that we bring into the company. We want to keep this share structure tight, and we're hoping to find a group of shareholders that wants to go along with us on this deal. And we have a goal of trying to pay dividends in 2022 from some of the proceeds of mining, which would be extremely rare for a junior mining company to do. I've gotten a lot of pushback from the bankers who kind of say, well, why would you do that? But again, we're all about shareholders first here, and being some of the largest shareholders, what's good for us is good for everybody who supports the deal.
Fantastic. You spoke a little bit about risk, and you spoke about going all in as much as you can without being risky. What does that mean, and what are your top risks as a business?
Yeah, so I would say our biggest risk right now would be the price of gold, and also our ability to get our permits. We're very confident in our ability to operate this mine. We've got an excellent mining contractor. And then obviously with New Gold purchasing the material from us in rock form and them taking on all risk of recovery, once we deliver it to them, they have 17 days to pay us. So, it's a very de-risked operation. It would be more around the permits. Given how far along the path we are and the positive relationships that we have with the provincial government, we're feeling extremely confident on our permitting side of the business. So right now it would be gold. Cash was obviously a big concern for our business right from the word go. We had that $3 million payment to Equinox that nobody thought we were going to be able to make in May. We made that quite easily, and then we just completed this financing. So we have $15 or $16 million in cash on hand right now, which allows us to really aggressively push the pace on our business plan. So for us, the major risks right now are the gold market and the permit, and we feel the permit's well in hand. That's just a timing and a regulator signing off on it thing. And we can't control the gold market, but from a macroeconomic perspective, we feel really bullish on it.
Fantastic. Well, that answers all my questions. Now, Kevin, what I thought we would do is just open up maybe like a 10-minute Q&A session with whoever wants to ask questions. So anyways, thank you for answering all that. It's been a fantastic interview. I think it's helped a lot of people in this chat. I'm already seeing comments in different channels just saying, messages like private message I'm receiving, just touching on how much more bullish they are now even. So I think you did a fantastic job. So yeah, if you guys want to maybe unmute yourselves and ask questions to Kevin directly, you don't have to type in the channels or private message me. Just unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey Kevin, this is Darren. I got a question. How has COVID or the lockdowns impacted, I guess, either permit work or more importantly, just work at the work front? And do you see any risks with that, with anything moving forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, there's kind of three different aspects, in my opinion, that affect our business. On the public company and sort of the management driving the business forward, there hasn't been a lot to do during COVID. So we've been working kind of all out, and it's really allowed us to sort of hunker down and focus on pushing the business forward. So making the best out of a bad situation on that front. Number two, the ability to operate the mine, because the bulk of this work is done outdoors and guys are in equipment and there's social distancing. And on top of that, the Canadian government saying that gold mining was an essential service. From an operational standpoint, exploration and construction have not been affected. And then the third part is obviously the permitting with the government. There were some slowdowns initially with that, obviously, as people transition from going into an office every day and then they're working from home. There was some pain points there for sure, but we're well beyond those now. The government is in full swing, and we've noticed a major uptick in how fast our file is moving. They're quite comfortable working from home or from the office. It seems like the majority of them are in the office right now. And with how quick our timelines are to get these permits to be able to go into production, I'm anticipating that COVID won't have a drastic effect on the permitting. But in saying that, you never know. This Delta variant seems to be getting a lot of headline news right now. Yeah, we're still extremely confident in the ability to get the permit across the line. All technical review is finished at the moment. The only thing that we're waiting on are final comments from the Indigenous communities now that all of the drafts have been completed. And then it'll go up for final sign-off from the respective statutory decision makers at both the Ministry of Mines and the Ministry of Environment.
So Thanks for that. That's awesome. And then just one final question is from the financial position of like New Afton and whatnot, partners for actually doing the mining and crushing ore processing, how are they financially?
They're really strong. So New Gold is the parent company, and they have multiple operating mines. They did a really major debt restructuring a few years back. They sold the Blackwater project to Artemis, and I think it was the Ontario Pension Fund who came in and helped them shore up their balance sheet. They're a very well-run company, and they're in a very strong cash position at the moment. So we feel very fortunate to be partnering with a mid-tier mining company like that, and who's in a financial position to be a good partner. So our mining contractor also does a lot of work with them, and the feedback that we've gotten is they're extremely good about paying on time, and they're great to work with.
Sounds excellent. Thanks very much. I've got 200 grand into this now, and even more bullish than I was this morning. That's awesome. Thanks.
Appreciate the support. Thank you very much for the questions, and also buying in the market. I don't think you're going to be disappointed with what we're coming up with here.
Fantastic. Thanks, Darren. Anybody else? Any other questions? Feel free to hop on. Don't be shy. Kevin won't bite. All right, well, if that's going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Kevin, for taking the time. This is something really cool. I wanted to do something a little special, a little different, and giving this private little interview here to the members has been a pleasure. So thanks again for your time, and we'll be watching very closely.
All right, thank you very much again for having us, and thanks for all the great questions, guys. Really appreciate the support, and looking forward to coming back and doing this again.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Take care.
Take care.